Hill has it. Tyreek Hill with speed. Breaks through. Hill with the speed. Look out. This is Bedlam.
Yeah, as you can tell in last year's Bedlam game, one play did make a big difference, and Tyreek Hill took advantage of a second punt return opportunity and made the most of it. Cowboys tied the game and would eventually win Bedlam in overtime, stunning the Sooner State, no question. That win was critical because that was their sixth win of the year, and it got them to bowl eligibility. And what in the beginning of November might look like was going to be hard times for Mike Gundy, a lot of pressure on him because they were in that 5-game losing streak. It looked like there was going to be a 6-game losing streak, turned into a strong finish because they won Bedlam, and then they would get their 7th win by winning their bowl game over Washington. So, again, the Cowboys finished the season strong. But during that 5-game losing streak, most of those games that they lost were not even close. I mean, they were clearly outplayed on both sides of the ball. But the second to last game of the season, which would end up being the 5th loss in a row for the Cowboys, some good happened. That was Mason Rudolph, a true freshman quarterback at the time, with only 2 regular season games to go. Looked like it'd be a redshirt year for him. But Gundy at that point decided to play him because they were so injury depleted at quarterback. So, enter, Rudolph, and even though Baylor won the game, Oklahoma State played respectable despite the loss, and Rudolph, did quite well in his debut. And of course, against Oklahoma, played even better and would follow it up with the victory over the Huskies. So entering this year, Rudolph knows that, he's got his feet wet a little bit. 3 games in, 2-1 as a starter, averaging about 290 yards through the air, and last season, 6 TDs and 4 picks. And that's going to be the big thing for Oklahoma State because last year, as a team, they threw a lot of interceptions. We'll go over the turnover margin later in the show, but they know that has to decrease for them to be effective offensively. Running game's going to have to be effective too, and Des Rowland, he's moved on now, and that's going to be an area to address. Now, Rowland was their most productive running back, but yards per carry wasn't just great, just 3.9 per carry, which is exactly the average that Rennie Childs had as well for the Cowboys, returning for his junior year. He'll get a lot of the carries, as will Chris Carson. And Ramon Taylor in a limited role last year, but did average more yards per carry than anybody, about 4.7 per carry. You'll have those guys as well. All 3 of them are juniors, Taylor, Carson, and Childs. The receiving core, this is where Oklahoma State will really make their mark because they return just about everybody on the receiving side. Now, one guy that they won't have back who both caught passes as well as ran the ball out of the backfield, and of course special teams, as you saw during the beginning of the show, was Tyreek Hill. This missed just a few days after the Bedlam win for domestic violence issues. He's now at Akron. But we already mentioned the backfield. Receiving core, 9 of the top 10 receivers are back, and that includes Brandon Shepard, 737 yards receiving a year ago, 39 catches, leading all returning receivers, and James Washington, did a lot of good things as a freshman in 2014, 28 catches, over 450 yards catching. And then you have one of the few senior starters on this team, regardless of which side of the ball you're talking about, and that is David Glidden with nearly 600 yards receiving a year ago. And also expect to Marcel Aitman, a junior, and Juwan Seals, a junior. They should be instrumental as well. So Oklahoma State, extremely physical, but also lots of speed too at the wideout, and that's going to be hard for defenses because you can't focus on just 1 or 2 guys. You got to worry about the whole crop. And then the offensive line, they've had to make some changes because they knew that they would not have Daniel Koenig back, their terrific left tackle, and they'd be without also Brandon Garrett, the left guard. So left side, they've had to make some adjustments, and a big plus for Oklahoma State, getting Victor Saleko from Alabama, Birmingham. You might know that the Blazers, went defunct. No more UAB, at least for now. So Saleko decided to take his talents to Stillwater, 6'6", and 315 pounds. He fills a big need at left tackle, and at left guard you'll have Michael Wilson, a junior. Brad Lumblade will occupy the center spot, and I know what you might be thinking. Well, what about Paul Lewis? I thought he was a center. Well, they're moving him from center to the right guard position, and at right tackle you'll have Zachary Crabtree, who started the majority of games last year as a freshman. So now as a sophomore, a lot of experience coming back, considering how much he learned as a freshman. So Oklahoma State, the big thing I really want to see them do, if you're looking at it just from a non-biased standpoint, is really get that ground game established, get it going. And if you could do that, then that offense will really be able to fly with the emergence of Rudolph and also a talented bunch of receivers. Pass protection has to be better, though. They gave up 40 sacks a year ago. That's more than what they did, more than what they gave up the previous 3 years combined. So pass protection's got to be there. The defense for Oklahoma State, they did a good job of getting to the quarterback last year. I mean, 33rd in the country in QB sacks, and coincidentally, they had 33 sacks. How do you like that? Biggest reason why was because of the ends. And you'll have Emmanuel Ogba. He's back, and a year ago, double digits in sacks, just a junior. And complimenting him on the other side, the veteran and Jimmy Bean. Got to replace the tackles, though, including James Castleman. He's moved on. So at one tackle, you'll have Vincent Taylor. They're going to be very young in this department. And also two, Mordecai Miley will occupy the other tackle spot. The Cowboys know that they got to do better as far as rush defense. Last season, they gave up nearly 170 yards rushing per game and also allowed 23 TDs on the ground. It's way too high. Linebackers, the majority do return. Ryan Simmons, over 80 tackles a year ago, occupies the middle linebacker position. Weak side linebacker, you'll have back Seth Jacobs, over 70 stops for the Cowboys. And also filling in the strong linebacker position will be Jordan Burton. But he did see some action last year with 55 tackles, now a full-time starter. You return just about everybody in the secondary. You do lose, I guess you could say the nickel linebacker or the star linebacker position, who was also used as a defensive back. Josh Furman, picked very late by the Denver Broncos in the draft. But everybody else comes back in the secondary, and that will include both safeties, Jordan Stearns, 81 stops a year ago, and the strong safety in Trey Flowers with 50 tackles. Both corners, Kevin Peterson, he's a senior, only senior amongst the starters with 2 picks a year ago. And you'll also return Ramon Richards, who had 3 picks as a freshman back in 2014. Special teams, you do return the place kicker in Ben Grogan, a modest 22 of 28 last season place kicking for the Cowboys. But the punter will be fairly new, a redshirt freshman. Let's go ahead and talk about one more element, too, turnover margin. This is an area in this decade where Oklahoma State's been pretty solid in, especially that 2011 team that finished third in both major polls at the end of the year. Last season, though, not so much the case when it came to turnover margin. -8. That was 109th in the country. So, there's got to be work done there. Glenn Spencer's defense, they're going to take risks. They're going to take chances. But at times, too, it should be able to pay off. But you got to see this year if they can force the fumbles, if this veteran secondary group can take advantage of that experience and can maybe get some takeaways. Again, last year they were not very good in that department. The schedule, though, does work pretty good for Oklahoma State. If you look at the non-conference part of it starting off, they should go 3-0. Their opener is an intriguing one. That's Central Michigan on the road. That'll be on a Thursday night. And last time I checked the calendar, that'll be September the 3rd. So they'll play a little bit earlier than most teams will on the major college level. And then 9 days later, they get Central Arkansas. And even though it should be Mason Rudolph's 5th start, it'll actually be his first start at home, if you can believe that. And then Texas San Antonio, September 19th. And then the game that I think could really dictate how Oklahoma State's season goes is the one at Texas, September 26th, the Big 12 opener. Of course, this will be the best defense that they faced up to that point, will Oklahoma State. If you are a believer in irony, Oklahoma State should be in good shape because the road team has won this game each of the last 6 seasons. That means Oklahoma State won there in 2010, 11, and 2 years ago where they routed the Longhorns. So you can't always believe in history because Texas, their defense is going to be tough. But Oklahoma State has been comfortable playing in Austin this decade. And then looking at other games down the road, October 10th at West Virginia, Mountaineers are going to be better. They've beaten OSU the last 2 tries. And November is really when that schedule will crank up to a higher level. 3 of those 4 teams, you can see them there. TCU, November 7th, get them in your backyard. November 21st, Baylor, they're going to be a top 5 team as well. Second to last game. And then Bedlam, this time will take place Thanksgiving week, November 28th. Each of the last 3 Bedlam meetings have been down to the wire, with 2 of them going to overtime. And, of course, the Cowboys prevailing last year in Norman. Oklahoma State, because their receiving corps is going to be so talented, because I think Rudolph is the right guy at quarterback, I do think their win total will improve a little bit. But, again, I got to see how their ground game does. I got to see how some of the new linemen do. And also defensively, can they create opportunities? That's the part we really don't know about the Cowboys. It helps to get some of the big giants from the Big 12 at home, but it'll take more than that in order to pull out victories. Again, they need to be a little bit more opportunistic, and at the same time, they also need to get a ground game really established for their offense to be complete. I look for 8-4 overall and a tie for 4th in the Big 12 with a 5-4 conference mark. Thanks for watching.